What's up, nail geeks? I am back with May 2021 polish pickup, and I have, last I counted, 43 items to show you guys. I've got lots of pretties, as you can see right behind me here. This month is awesome, and I'm really digging the bright colors, all that good stuff. I just wanted to pop in here real quick and let you guys know that, per usual, I will be having my sponsored giveaway from PPU on this video, and all you have to do is just leave a comment below. I so love reading everyone's comments each month on polish pickup, and it's just exciting and awesome. So I think I'm going to be able to get this up before wish listing starts. Fingers crossed. At this point, I feel like it's been a hot minute since I have been able to do that. So thankfully, I power through this, and per usual, we are going to speed right on through these, get through these as quick as possible. And again, just lots and lots to show you guys. I have them right in front of me, and I'm super excited. So don't forget, leave a comment on the video, and I will use a comment picker website to choose 10 people to win a $10 PPU gift code. I'm going to have the giveaway run until Wednesday, May 5th. Let's say 10 p.m. and I will do my usual pinned comment, and you guys can check it out. Email me. I think for the most part, we got most of the winners from the last few months, but I'm still missing like 2 or 3 of you. So again, go back and check and make sure that I didn't respond to your comment, and that way I can get your codes to you, because I do have them. So without further ado, and me yakking away over here, let's get right to it, which is the reason why you guys are here. So let's dive right in. First up is 1422 Designs. This is Blueberry Milkshake, described as a deep denim blue crelly with platinum flakes and blue to gold to lime to purple shifting flakes. This is inspired by its namesake. Price is $12.50, and there is a cap of 100 bottles. So this one has a very crelly formula, true to the description, and it's very smooth on application. Now, for full coverage, I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats. Those of you who are rocking nails a little bit shorter than mine, you might be able to get away with 2 coats on it, but I personally thought that 3 coats was really nice, and it helped to bring out that nice blueberry sort of medium blue base color. This is packed full of those flakes. It kind of gives off, in my opinion, this confetti sort of appearance. And you can see on that 3rd coat, if you've got some type of free edge like myself, definitely, I think that 3rd coat's going to be awesome. It plumps out really nice, and it dries down semi-gloss, so I think any top coat is going to be perfectly fine with this one, and it just seals everything up. This is a very flattering type of blue. It's got this cool toned feel to it in person, and I just think it pops really, really well. And next is Alchemy Lacquers Electric Sheep. This is described as a neon pink jelly with a very strong red to green shifting shimmer. This is inspired by science fiction, specifically the first book in the Expanse series. The cover of the book Leviathan Wakes. Price is $11.50, and there is a cap to be announced on it. Now, I worried about this one a lot. So on my swatches, I think it was blowing up and just coming off really just overexposed, if you will. So I want to really note that in person, this is absolutely a hot, vibrant pink base, but the shimmer is very strong in this one. It's really pretty. I think it's one of those types of pinks that are going to pop on just about any skin tone. But I do think, in my opinion, that this has a strong coral lean to it in person as well. So indoor lighting and more subdued sort of lighting, it definitely has that pinky sort of feel to it. But I think the shimmer is just so incredibly strong here that that reddish sort of cast with it, which is appearing gold in bright lights, is playing up against that base color. So I do think my full hand shot's giving you a decent idea, but you can also kind of see how the shimmer is just very, very strong. And next is Aurora. This is Mr. Gray Will See You Now. Sounds quite naughty. This is described as a dark gray creamy polish with red multi-chrome shift and red geometric sparkle, invoking the steamy hue of the infamous Red Room. Price is $12, and there's a cap of 150 bottles. So this absolutely has a very creamy, smooth formula to it. Depending on how you apply, you might need a third coat on it. I personally went to 2 coats and I thought it really popped very well in terms of opacity, and it was really interesting. So the base color is a smoky sort of warm type of almost cool toned sort of dark gray, but it also has that black to red multichrome pigment. So I think it's making that sort of warm base kind of darken out. So in indoor lighting, it's absolutely going to have this more smoky sort of gray lean to it that's kind of dark. And the sparkles here, the glitters, are really pretty nice, somewhat subtle sort of twinkle factor, but at angles you'll see that nice red shift apply here. It's really nice. Now this dries down semi-flat, but I think any glossy top coat will be perfect. And Baroness X brings us Melon Crush. This is a neon watermelon pink fluid art polish with lime green to yellow to orange shifting shimmer. This can be worn alone in 2 coats or used in fluid art decals. Price on this one is $12.50 and there is no cap. So I was feeling a little bit of retro vibes with this color, a really nice true neon hot pink. The shimmer is quite strong. I'm going to show you guys in a moment, once I do my decal here, what it applies and how it looks when it's on its own. But if you wanted to do fluid art with it, this is another kind of way that I've crafted, if you will, how to do it. So I took a circular piece of parchment paper and I wanted to test out to see if this would offer me more control on a smaller sort of surface, and it absolutely did. So I really liked how this came out and I liked how the paper applied, and I had no issues getting the decal to come off of the parchment paper. So you want to make quite a few blobs with whatever other colors you're using. And if you're making one giant decal for all of your nails, like what I'm doing here, then as you move it towards the edge and you just kind of manipulate it a little bit with a tool, you can use just about anything. I'm using a water marble tool here, and the shimmer in this, there's quite a bit of it. So whatever color you're using, I actually kind of lucked out picking black, and it really popped well. So you can see it as I'm applying the decal here. When it dries, I usually leave them to dry down in about 40 to 50 minutes. I just go clean or something, and it will peel up. You don't want it to be too hard, otherwise it will crack. And you can then just kind of use a scissors, or in my case, an X-Acto knife, and just kind of cut out what you need. Now here I'm showing you guys what it looks like wearing it by itself. Really nice, smooth sort of formula, quite creamy. And for opacity, I do agree with the official description that 2 coats is perfect. Now this does dry down semi-flat, kind of flirting with being a true sort of neon color, in that I definitely think it needs some type of glossy top coat, or really any top coat, just to kind of amp it up and plump it out. So in indoor lights and bright lights, that shimmer takes on this nice green sort of limeish appearance, and that nice orangey sort of cast at very extreme angles. I really liked how on the fluid art decal it popped really well on the shimmer. And Baroness X also brings us Acetone Antidote this month. This month's scent is Strawberry Jelly Donuts, and it smells exactly like that. So I'm getting quite a bit of that jelly sort of strawberry scent on the forefront, and in the background notes there's definitely this pastry sort of bakery vibe happening. So it smells like a strawberry jelly donut. It is awesome. And by Danny Vianna brings us Bed All Day. This is described as a gray, violet, somewhat mauve curly base filled with holographic flakes in different sizes. So this is inspired by Lazy Days reading, and the price is $12.50, and there's a cap of 300 bottles. So per usual, Danny Vianna brings us this gorgeous, creamy sort of formula, very easy to build up. This leans very, very neutral against myself, and I think it's going to be one of those shades that is a bit of a chameleon depending on your skin tone. I think overall it's very pretty, and it just pops really, really well. Now for opacity, I'm going to suggest 2 coats on it. As you can see here, it built up very nicely. This one dries down semi-gloss, so I think any top coat is going to be perfect for it. And I think this is a really nice office shade sort of color, very neutral, but it's also got that strong sort of deep mauve undertone. And by Vanessa Molina brings us Sprinkled Guilty. This is described as a magnetic 5D chameleon purple to magenta to blue with a mix of iridescent flakes. This is inspired by an image of colorful desserts. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 400 bottles. So this is very much heavy on the flakies here. So I'm going to suggest going in lightly on your brush strokes just to prevent any dragging. And the magnetic effect, I'm switching it up once again this month and I'm using a ring magnet. You can see here that really strong, obvious magnetic appearance against this dusky sort of black. I do think this has some versatility to it in that you could absolutely wear it over a, say, black cream. I think it would look really cool like that. But regardless, you're going to get tons and tons of flakes, and the magnetic pigment is very easy to manipulate. So indoor lights, it's going to have that very strong purpley sort of appearance to it, but it has an easy shift with magentas and blues at angles, and the flakes kind of lay in the background against that dusky sort of black. Really obvious in person, quite a bit of movement and very shifty. Now this dries down very flat, so I'm going to suggest a glossy top coat. And Cameo Colors Lacquers brings us Emily's next move. This is described as a juicy red jelly base with scattered hollow sparkle, red hollow micro glitters, red to gold shifting glitter, black glitter, and silver hollow micro flakes. This is inspired by the show Revenge, PS, which is awesome. Price is $11.50 and there's a cap of 105 bottles. So this is really pretty. It's one of those types of reds that I think is going to pop on anybody. It's definitely got more of a cool toned sort of vibe in person as opposed to what the video is showing you guys. It's quite sparkly and it has a really nice, very dense sort of juicy jelly sort of feel on the brush strokes. So for full coverage, I think 2 to 3 coats is going to be perfect. I personally found that 2 coats was very much giving me full coverage vibes, so I stopped there. Now this dries down semi-gloss, so I think any top coat is perfectly fine with it. And again, this is just a really popping sort of cooler undertoned type of red. And Crystal Knockout brings us Define Like. This is described as a deep eggplant to rose pink jelly thermal with holographic micro flakes, holographic cherry red glitter, and iridescent pink flakes. This is inspired by Gossip Girl's Chuck and Blair. Price is $11 and there is no cap. So this has another very jelly sort of feel to it, but it's very smooth on your brush strokes, easy to build to opacity, and very easy to transition between the thermal states, which you guys will see in just a moment. Now for full coverage, I think 2 to 3 coats is going to be perfect on this. As you can see on the second coat, I think it popped really well in terms of covering up my smile line, but when you have the warm state on your nails, you might decide to go to a third coat with it, just depending on how prominent your free edge is, as it is a lighter sort of color. Now this one dries down somewhat flat, so you are seeing, once again, a glossy top coat on my full hand shot here. And with the ice water, you can see just how obvious the warm and the cold state is. And next is Cupcake Polish, the Biles. This is described as a super vibrant hot pink holographic polish. Inspired by the most decorated gymnast of all time, Simone Biles. Price is $13 and there is no cap. This is a stunning pink, you guys. It is something else. The formula is awesome. I want to almost classify this one as being a one coater. Very, very opaque in application. Now I wore it at 2 thin coats, and just to give me that super extra holographic vibe here in the sun, this is absolutely going to light up with rainbows. This is pretty much what I think of when I think of Cupcake Polish. She does hot pink holographic polishes so well, and you can see just how smooth and satisfying that application is. Now this one dries down semi-gloss, so again, I think any top coat is going to be perfectly fine. I personally like to wear holographics with really glossy top coats. That way it just kind of exploits that holographic pigment. Now, Cupcake Polish also brings us an IPU item this month, Fabio Flush, described as a special effects topper filled with black to purple to red to gold, multi-chrome shimmer, and red to gold iridescent shimmer. This topper will darken over any color and make your manicure blush with a red to gold glow. This is inspired by cheesy romance novels. Price is $10.50 and there is no cap. So this is a really opaque sort of topper. It's definitely going to give whatever undie you wear with it this dusky sort of almost grayed out sort of appearance. So I personally think that darker sort of base colors are going to pop really well with this one, and very, very shifty in person. And next is Cuticula Complicated. This is a black jelly base with pink to green to gold shifting iridescent flakes, red metallic flakes, and a sprinkling of silver holographic flakes and galaxy glitters. This is inspired by Avril Lavigne's song Complicated. An absolute earworm if you ask me. Price is $12.50 and there is no cap. Now this has a very jelly formula to it, but it builds up beautifully. So I'm going to suggest 3 coats on it. You'll see here that at the second coat, I had really good coverage, but I think that third coat just maximized the amount of flakes in this one. So they pop really well against that darker sort of base, and overall just a really fun confetti sort of appearance. It is very, very strong on the rainbow factor here. Now in indoor lights and dull lighting, those flakes are going to dominantly take on this more reddish sort of cast against the deep base color. But of course you can also see those iridescent ones kind of in the background, and just lots and lots of flaky action. Now this one dries down pretty flat, so I'm strongly going to suggest a really good glossy top coat to finish this one off, and it just helps to amplify that mosaic effect. And next is Dom Nail Polish Lactose Intoler-what. Described as a curly with pink, blue, and yellow glitters. There's glitter hearts and stars, and also a slight green to pink shift. This is inspired by pretty ice cream cones. Price is $12.50 and there is a cap of 200 bottles. So this has a very smooth, curly sort of formula to it. Definitely on the fence between that creamy sort of feel and that jelly kind of squish. And for opacity, I'm going to suggest 3 coats on this one. It plumped up really well for me on the third coat. I can see if you had shorter nails, you might be able to get away with 2 coats if you preferred more of that milky sort of effect. Now, I gave my bottles a good shake before applying, and I had no issues getting any of those glitters out of the bottle. As you can see on this second coat here, I had those cute little stars pop up. Honestly, when I wore this one, I really liked it. I love white curlies with some type of rainbow sort of effect to them. And this was really fun. It absolutely made me think of a baby shower. Really, really cute. Now, the stars in this one behaved very nicely for me. In my opinion, a lot of shaped glitters and polishes can be a little tricky in terms of getting them to lay down nice and flat, but I had no issues with that. That said, I do want to note that depending on the top coat you're using, you might want to use a glitter smoothing top coat with this one because it dries down very flat and it's going to leave you with a touch of texture. So definitely suggest that underneath your glossy top coat. And next is Different Dimension, I'm with the band. This is described as a rose pink jelly polish loaded with gold to green color shifting iridescent pigment and holographic micro flakes. Price on this is $12 and there is no cap. So this is very, very intense on the shimmer effect. Indoor lights, bright lighting, what have you, it's definitely going to pop with this very strong goldish sort of overlaid effect to it. And at angles, it does shift over to this really nice green shift. And for opacity, I'm going to suggest 3 coats on it. It's got a softer sort of somewhat metallic feel to the brush strokes, given just how packed full of shimmer this one is. And I thought that third coat really brought the shimmer's A game here. Now this one dries very flat, and again with that nice metallic sort of touch to the formula. So I think a glossy top coat is going to make this one pop best, though I can see this one looking really awesome mattified too. Now again, on my full hand shot here, you can see just how strong that shimmer is. In person, you can see the base color, that rosy sort of pink, but the shimmer is just so shifty and strong. Now, Different Dimension is also bringing us a cuticle oil duo. Both scents are Pina Colada and Strawberry Daiquiri. Price is $7 for the duo, and there is no cap. These smell so good. I'm a big time fruit and bakery sort of fan, and they both smell exactly like their names. So Pina Colada, cocktail sort of vibes, very pleasant, that nice coconutty sort of scent. And the Strawberry Daiquiri is also awesome. So if you're a bakery or fruity sort of scent lover like myself, highly recommend them. They both smell really awesome. And I like that Different Dimensions Cuticle pens have a wider sort of brush to them, so they fan out really nice, and it holds a lot of product when you are kind of cranking it to get the oil to come out. Now, don't forget, when you use cuticle oil, you definitely want to get oil and product underneath your free edge if you've got one. It just helps with that bendy factor and super moisturizing. And EDK brings us Baby. This is described as a baby blue jelly base with pink to green Aurora shimmer and iridescent turquoise to green flakes, inspired by Baby Spice. I'd have to say Spice Girls are probably my guilty pleasure too. They're still on my Spotify list. Price is $12.50 and there's a cap of 440 bottles. So this has a very jelly formula to it. It starts off on the touch on the sheer side, and it might even be able to be used as a topper. I think it would look really cool over a lighter color, especially light blue. But overall, for opacity, wearing it on its own, I'm going to suggest 3 coats on this one. It does have a strong metallic feel with it. This is another one that's packed full of shimmer and just packed full of flakes too. So really nice glowing effect, and it dries down very flat. So I'm going to suggest a good glossy top coat to plump this one out and really help that iridescent look pop very well. I had no issues with the flakes. Everything laid down nice and flat for me. Now in person, this has a strong pink sort of glow with it, and at angles it easily shifts over to green. So quite shifty, and the flakes match up to that green shift too. And Fair Maiden brings us Sugar High. This is described as a warm-toned bright pink with copper to rose shimmer and gold to pink to violet shifting iridescent flakes, inspired by Sour Patch Watermelon Candy. Price is $11 and there is no cap. So this has a very much crelly sort of formula to it, though I do think it leans just a touch more on the jelly side, but still very easy to build to opacity. Now, I do agree with the official description. This is a warm type of pink. It's got just the slightest bit of a somewhat coral lean to it, but overall I'm seeing a warm type of pink in person. Definitely this watermelon sort of pink. The flakes are quite strong in it and gives you this really nice iridescent effect in this warm sort of tone. And for full coverage, I'm going to suggest 3 coats on it. If you've got a free edge, I think that 3rd coat really helps to plump it out and just maximize the flakies. If you are rocking shorties, you might be able to get away with 2 coats depending on how you apply. And this one also dries down quite flat, really flat. So I think a really good glossy top coat is going to pop really well, and again kind of help to maximize that iridescent effect of the flakes against the base color. And Femme Fatale brings us I Can't Believe How Cute I Look. This is described as a sheer bright purple base that gives way to a red to gold to green unicorn shimmer filled with purple holographic micro glitters, inspired by Rami Michelle's high school reunion. Price is $14 and there is a cap of 400 bottles. So this is so sparkly in person. It's very pretty. It's got that micro glitter sort of holographic effect, and it starts off on the sheer side, but as you build it up, it really strengthens out both the shimmery effect and the sparkly effect. Really nice. Now in person, especially in shaded lighting, you're really going to see that shimmer pop very well. It gives off this peachy sort of pink appearance, and the glitters here are just awesome. So quite a bit of a rainbow effect with it. And I'm going to suggest 3 coats on it to really help bring out that opacity and just maximize all the goodies here. Now this one dries down very flat and just a slightest bit textured, so you might need a glitter smoothing top coat depending on how thick your top coat is. And next is Glisten Glow Purple Rose. This is described as a vibrant purple mega linear hollow with an intense rainbow and blue flame. This is inspired by Purple Roses. Price is $12.50 and there is no cap. So the formula on this is impeccable, if you ask me. It's very much flirting with being a 1-coater. It is very saturated with the holographic effect. Now, if you wear this and don't use a top coat, it's going to give you the maximum holographic effect. If you wear a top coat and you're like me, I prefer to wear top coats, but you want to retain that holographic effect, I'm going to suggest a water-based top coat for this one. As you can see on my full hand shot here, there's quite a bit of this strong, intense hollow flame, but I am wearing a water-based top coat in it. And Glisten Glow is also bringing us her glitter grabber. This is 8 and there is no cap. So I have been raving about this one. I'm constantly saying use a glitter smoothing top coat, what have you. 99% of the time, this is the one you guys are seeing on the video. It is phenomenal. I can't recommend it enough. Anybody who uses, especially indie polishes, I think that this is a must-have in your arsenal. So basically what you do with it, go in with 1 coat of glitter grabber and then 1 coat of your glossy top coat, and it smooths everything out so you have no texture. So I'm using a Zoya Pixie Dust here, and as most of us know, these are some of the most chunky sort of beautiful glitters, but they're very textured. So after using glitter grabber and a glossy top coat, everything is smooth. And Hearts and Promises brings us Shamrock Shake. This is a pastel neon green with slight white shimmer, inspired by Shamrock Shakes. Price is $11.50 and there's a cap of 200 bottles. So this has a very smooth but somewhat light sort of curly feel with it. Very easy to reach opacity, and it's just a really pretty green. I really like pastel neon sort of greens like this, and for opacity, I think 3 coats is perfect. Now on the actual application part of this, I think you guys are getting a good idea of those little white shimmers. They're looking to me like in person as this white, somewhat silvery sort of shimmery effect. It is really pretty, but unfortunately on my swatches, it was coming up very, very subtle, but in person you can absolutely see it. Now here on the 3rd coat, you can see it plumped out real nice, and it gave me that really awesome full coverage appearance. This one dries down semi-flat, so I'm going to suggest a glossy top coat to finish this one off, and also kind of help those little white flecks to pop really well too. I think this is one of those colors that is so very much popping on just about any skin tone. And next is Indie by Patty Lopez, Sugar Little Dream. This is described as a pink curly with matte red and white glitters, inspired by donuts. Price is $12 and there's a cap of 250 bottles. Now this one has a very strong juicy jelly sort of feel on the overall finish to it, and the glitters are going to require placement on each of your layers. Since the base is this lovely milky sort of pink, you're absolutely going to see a pond effect of the glitters, so you'll see them in between your coats. So you'll definitely want to do a touch of that placement between them so you'll get that nice evenly dispersed appearance. I gave my bottle a good shake before applying, and honestly I think that if you put your bottle upside down maybe 5 minutes before you go in for your mani, you'll have less of a time trying to do careful placement or any type of fishing like that. So the larger glitters behaved very well for me. I had no issues with those, and this one dries down semi-gloss, so I think any top coat will be perfectly fine with it. And when you go in with that glossy top coat, it gives you that really strong jelly sort of vibe, really pretty, and it reminds me of like a gel polish finish when you glossify it. And Lemming Lacquer brings us HalloQueen. This is described as a reddened boysenberry jelly, contrasted by a turquoise to deep green to blue to purple to magenta multi-chrome with holographic micro flakes, inspired by the maker's love of Halloween. Price is $13 and there is a cap of 200 bottles. So this absolutely has a jelly sort of feel to it, but it's very smooth on application and builds up really well. So I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats, depending on how you polish. You can see on the 2nd coat here, it deepened out very quickly. In person, the shimmer is very strong too. It definitely has that turquoise sort of glow, and at angles, it absolutely shifts over to this lovely blue, to a purple, and at most extreme angles, this really intense sort of magenta. Now this one dries down semi-gloss, so I think any top coat will be perfectly fine with it. And you can see on my full hand shot here, very vampy, but also very glowy. And Luna Wax brings us a wax sampler this month, and it's okay to order that 2nd dessert. There are 4 desserts in their own unique shapes: key lime pie, macarons, Malibu rum cupcake, and pineapple ice cream. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I'm absolutely going to order another one of these in my PPU order. These smell phenomenal. My favorite one is the Malibu rum cupcake, and the shapes are so adorable. It almost broke my heart melting them because they're just so cute, but they smell so good and they smell exactly like their namesakes and what they're inspired by. And next is Lacquer Jackpot. This is described as a solar UV reactive polish that is yellowish to green when indoors to a lagoon sort of shade in sunlight. Also with red to orange to yellow shimmer, copper hollow glitters, and orange magenta UCC flakes inspired by casinos. Price is $12 and there's a cap of $160. So this has a very true curly formula. It's got a bit of a squish factor, but also very easy to build to opacity. I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats on it. Now this is a solar polish, but it is very reactive. Normally I use a black light to show off what the solar images of polishes like this look like, but it was transitioning so quick for me that I don't think I did the solar effect very good justice. So what you're seeing on the actual application part is the indoor color. So it's like this limey sort of green with a strong sort of yellow undertone to it. And in the sunlight, it takes on this really nice deeper sort of green. So like straight up, almost emerald type of green. And again, I do apologize about that. This one was very tricky and just did not want to show off and just wanted to transition so quickly for me. And MLF Lacquer brings us TTV. This is described as a blurple base with purple to blue shimmer and aqua to purple to pink color shifting iridescent flakes, inspired by binging Twitch TV. Price is $11 and there's a cap of $200. So this is a very jelly formula, and when you build it up, it is very intense in person. Absolutely got this blurple vibe going on. So depending on your lighting, it's going to take on more of a blue lean or a purple lean. Really lovely, and the flakes just help to give this really strong glowy factor. Now for opacity, I think 2 coats is going to be perfect for most. Of course, if you polish thinly, you might need a 3rd coat on it, and it also dries down heavily flat. So you're going to want to use a good glossy top coat or even a thin coat of a glitter smoothing top coat, if you will, as it's not textured, but again, it dries down quite thirsty given the amount of flakes in this one. So lots of glow and this very strong blurply appearance. And Nail Artisan Cosmetics brings us You Want a Piece of Me. This is described as a multi-chrome polish that shifts purple to aqua with a golden shimmer inspired by Cadbury's chocolate wrappers. Price is $13 and there is a cap of 200 bottles. So this is what I would classify as a foil type of finish. It's very strong and intense with this larger particle sort of shimmer effect. In person, this is easy to shift over from this nice pinky purple over to this nice strong aqua and gold at angles. Really nice. If you're a foil fan, definitely going to suggest this one as it's very intense on this shifty action. Now for opacity, I'm going to suggest between 2 to 3 coats depending on how you polish, and it builds up really easy, very nicely. And I'm also going to suggest a good glossy top coat with this one. And as usual with foil type of finishes, go in soft on your brush so to prevent any streaks. And Night Owl Lacquer brings us Lazy Days. This is described as a black and violet tinted base loaded with pink to gold to green shimmer. Price is $13 and there is no cap. So this has also a very foil type finish to it. If you're curious how this compares to the previous one, in the recap of the video, I'm going to have them right next to each other side by side so you can see a quick comparison. But Night Owl's is definitely deeper and the color roll of the shimmer plays up just a little bit different. So this is more of a vampier version versus the previous one that was more of a medium toned sort of vibrant purple. Now, Lazy Days is, again, very shifty, really nice foil sort of finish. And for opacity, I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats. And you can see on my full hand shot here, really lovely shifty action with this one too. And it also dries down flat. So I'm going to suggest a glossy top coat and soft brush strokes. And Polish brings us Hello Kitty. This is described as a bright neon pink jelly with a mix of pink to red and violet iridescent flakes inspired by its namesake. Price is $13 and there is no cap. This was another color that I really worried about in terms of color accuracy. I think my swatches kind of blew it out a little bit, and I think the video watching the playback here is also kind of blowing it up a little bit. Please note, in person, this absolutely has a very neon pink vibe to it, but the flakes, in my opinion, they also have a pink and purple and red shift to them. The flakes in this one absolutely play up against that base. So again, this is absolutely a warm sort of color, but I think depending on your lighting, it might have a red undertone to it, but in person, this is absolutely a pink base. Next is Painted Polish, just made this. This is described as a bright sea green crelly base with blue to purple to red color shifting metallic flakes, inspired by my favorite thing, procrastination. Price is $12.50 and there's a cap of 250 bottles. So this has a very smooth, crelly sort of formula, behaves very creamy like. If you saw my painted polish video that I put up I think a couple of days ago, everything's blurring together at this point. I definitely raved about the formula for this brand, and this one's no exception. So for opacity, I'm going to suggest 2 to 3 coats, though personally I think 2 coats is perfect. But of course, if you polish thinly, you might need that 3rd coat. The base color is very pretty. This is another one of my favorite types of greens, that nice true sea foam sort of feel with it. And when you go in with a glossy top coat, everything is just so marbly smooth and wonderful. And Pampered Polishes brings us the Fun Wheel. This is a medium purple base with holographic effect. So this one will be $13 and there is no cap on it. So this has a very jelly-like formula to it, and true to jelly formulas, this will build up and intensify the base color depending on whether you wear it at 2 or 3 coats. I took it up to 3 coats. I thought it plumped up really well. This has that nice smooth sort of dry down with it. It's quite glossy, so I think any top coat is going to be perfect. And I'm going to suggest going up to that 3rd coat for this one just to really help to bring out that base color. This is vibrant in person, definitely on the medium sort of purple. And the holographic effect to this is what I would describe as a scattered sort of holographic effect. They are of the finer particle type, so you'll get that soft sort of rainbow twinkle in sunlight. And again, any top coat will be perfect. Really nice formula here and easy application. And next is Paradox Polish, Matcha Tea and Sakura Sweets. This is described as a light green mint with pink and gold glitters and light pink shimmer. This will be $12 and there is no cap. So this has a true crelly formula, quite a bit of a squish factor, and it starts off a touch on the lighter side, but it is quite plumping in how it applies. So I'm going to suggest going in for thinner coats on this one. That way you can maximize the opacity without making it too built up on your nail, if that makes sense. Now this one dries down flat and it has just the slightest bit of a thirsty feel to it. So depending on your glossy top coat, I'm going to suggest something a little bit thicker to help to glossify it and smooth everything out. Now the glitters in this one are what I would consider more of a scattered sort of effect. So again, I'm going to suggest giving your bottle a good shake before applying, and maybe even leave it upside down for about 5 minutes and then go in for application. Now, I only had to do just a touch of careful placement just to make sure everything looked nice and dense across my nail on my other nails. So again, just going to depend on how hard you go in with your brush strokes. And Penelope Luz brings us Sin Cake. This is described as a vibrant lilac base with multiple colors of iridescent flakes, inspired by a buttercream cake. Price is $13 and there's a cap of 700 bottles. So we have another really nice medium purple sort of color. This is really vibrant in person, and I love how after you build it up, the iridescent flakes are very strong, definitely giving me those unicorn sort of vibes. Now for full coverage, I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats. I personally found that a 3rd coat to this one really helped to pop on that flaky effect. You can see that multitude of colors here, and I think it also helped to deepen out that nice vibrant sort of purple. Again, giving me that nice rainbowy sort of fun effect. This one dries down flat though, so I'm going to suggest a good glossy top coat to seal this one up and again maximize that iridescent flaky effect. And Poetry Cowgirl Polish brings us Brain Candy. This is described as a charcoal base packed with various matte, metallic, and hollow glitters, green to teal Aurora shifting shimmer, a pinch of green to blue to violet iridescent flakes, inspired by tabloids. Price is $12 and there is no cap. So this applies, in my opinion, like a full coverage glitter. There is so much going on here. When you build it up, it has a strong greenish sort of lime type of glow to it. And it shifts over to a lovely teal at very extreme angles. So what's mostly going to catch your attention is that dusky sort of base. As you build it up, it takes on, I want to almost say it's like a murky brown, and it plays up very well against all the glitters here. So I'm going to suggest going in with a thin coat on your first coat and then going in with that icing sort of topper method, beat it up against your cuticle and then drag out. And I think 2 coats doing it this way will be perfect. Now this does have a touch of texture to it, so I'm going to suggest a glitter smoothing top coat. And Psych Minerals brings us Tequila Sunrise. This is a beautifully complex eyeshadow that appears more orange in the jar when applied. Once applied, you'll notice it has eye-catching sparkle and a more peachy base. This is going to be $7.50 and there is no cap. Now this first one that I'm showing you guys here on my arm is without a primer, and I'm using a brush. After messing around with it a little bit more, I would strongly suggest using some type of eyeshadow primer, which is what you're seeing on the second stroke here, and patting it down with your fingers. I think you can absolutely wear this on its own. It's really sparkly in person, very, very pretty. This is cosmetic grade pigment, so you can also use it on your lips, which I think it would be fantastic dabbed over maybe even a neutral sort of matte color. And Pretty Beautiful Unlimited brings us It's Too Pretty to Eat, described as a black jelly base with black and silver holographic micro glitters and a mix of 4 crystal chameleon flakes, inspired by fancy cakes. Price is $12 and there is a cap of 160 bottles. So I classify myself as someone who typically, I guess I don't really have an appreciation for black nail polish. But I make that exception for colors like this. This is so much fun. It almost like reminds me of Lisa Frank, if you will. So this strong rainbow effect of these flakes. There are some holographic stars in here, but I did have a little bit of fishing if you're going to want to get the stars out. So they're there, but I think they're going to be a little more dense and a little more difficult to get, say, several stars on your nails unless you're going to fish for them. But other than that, this black base builds up beautifully and the rainbow effect against it is awesome. There's just so much fun colors happening with this one. It's like shredded confetti. And Pretty Beautiful Unlimited also brings us a wax sampler in the theme Yummy. This is a 15-cent sampler inspired by yummy cakes and sweet treats that includes scents like lemon sugar bundt cake, monkey bread, orange caramel crumble, pie crust, pineapple whip, pistachio macaroon. And here you can see the scent list. These are also awesome. Now this month, she has an adorable cupcake charm in here, and she's including this silicone cupcake holder thing. I use these in my wax warmers. I've got 3 of them around my apartment. They are fantastic for just pop it in your wax and you do your melting and you enjoy your good smelling stuff. And then when you're ready to take it out, let it cool down and just pop it out. Super easy cleanup in your wax warmer, and I think that's really cool that it's included. These are very, very yummy, and again, another wax sampler I would recommend. And Rogue Lacquer brings us Fair Fries. This is described as a mustard yellow linear hollow with some fiery shimmer and micro hollow flakes, inspired by its namesake. Price is $13 and there is no cap. So the formula to this is excellent. It has a touch of a jelly sort of feel, but it applies very opaque. I'm going to suggest 2 coats on it to build it up. This is absolutely what I would consider a true mustard yellow, very flattering, and I think it's going to pop on just about any skin tone. I have kind of thrown myself out there and I've asked for additional shades in this finish. It's very, very pretty. You can see a touch of that shimmer as I wiggle my nail around here. It takes on this nice reddish sort of appearance, and there's so much pretty sparkle. It's overall just a really lovely finish, and it dries down semi-gloss, so I think any top coat will be perfect. And Sassy Sauce Polish brings us Toes in the Water. This is a blue to green to purple, shifting multi-chrome with blue to green to purple to pink to red, shifting Ghost Flakes inspired by Vacation. Price is $12.50, and there's a cap of 500 bottles. So this is another flaky filled polish, really lovely. Now in person, this is going to shift over from a very obvious sort of emerald green in my opinion, and at angles you'll see that nice blue and purple. Now when you apply this one, it has a strong metallic feel to it, and it builds up off of the other layer, if that makes sense. So dry time is very quick on this one, and I think each of your coats is going to adhere very well to the previous coat. Now for opacity, I'm going to suggest 2 to 3 coats on this one. I really think that a third coat will make this one pop the best and just kind of maximize that flaky payoff. Now the flakes in this one kind of have almost a complementing but also contrasting shift at the same time to the base. So you'll see a bit of a reverse sort of shifty effect from them against that shifty base color. And I'm also going to suggest a good glossy top coat to finish this one off, just to kind of calm down that metallic effect, if you will. And next is Scofflaw Nail Varnish. This is My Guilty Pleasures Plead the Fifth. Described as a dusty dark blue with glitters in light blue, periwinkle, and lavender, finished off with ruby sparkles. Price is $12.50, and there is no cap. So again, we have a very strong, crelly sort of formula, very easy to build up, and this one dries down quite flat, very, very much on the thirsty side. So I'm going to strongly suggest a glitter smoothing top coat underneath that glossy top coat to smooth everything out and just really help to even all of the goodies out. So for opacity, I'm going to suggest between 2 and 3 coats because this one is quite textured and filled with glitter. I'm going to suggest letting your first coat dry down quite a bit, which again, dry time on this one was excellent as well. That way your second and maybe your third, if you polish thin, will help to adhere it really easily and help build opacity really quickly. Now the base color, I do agree, is a dusty sort of dark blue. It's almost got somewhat navy vibes to it, and I think the glitters play up very well against it. So you can kind of see between this second coat here that just how flat it dries down. So again, on my full hand shot, I've got the glitter smoothing top coat, aka glitter grabber, underneath the glossy top coat. Now going in for that third thinner coat here, you can see it just kind of helped to amplify it just a bit more. So totally going to be your preference, but I thought that third coat really helped to maximize that turbo sort of speckled effect. And next is Sweet and Sour Lacquer. Love that chicken sandwich. This is described as an orange jelly base with a mix of orange to green and gold hollow glitters in a variety of sizes, as well as matte white glitters, inspired by Popeye's chicken sandwich, which is, in my opinion, if you ask me, absolutely legit. Price is $12.50, and there's a cap of $200. Now the base color to this is what I would describe as a vibrant sort of orange, and it kind of reminds me of hot sauce, if you will. I think the name just has me thinking of wings and whatnot, but the glitters here are also quite sparkly in person. This gives you a really nice juicy jelly appearance when you finish off with a glossy top coat. I didn't have too much problems in terms of texture with this one, but going in with that glossy stuff, it's really helping to make it have that strong pond effect too. So I think my full hand shot tells you a really good story as opposed to my swatches for that nice sparkly factor and just how that juicy factor comes out with it. And Tips Nail Polish brings us one more bite. This is described as a neon pink crelly filled with a lot of hexagon opalescent glitter. This is inspired by a strawberry glazed donut with sprinkles. Price is $13.50, and there's a cap of 107 bottles. So this is one of those really flattering, straight up neon medium pinks, really, really vibrant in person. And it's got this wonderful iridescent glitter effect. So I think my swatches honestly just kind of washed it out and just didn't do it justice. And I think on my full hand shot here in just a moment, it'll give you a really good idea of that strong iridescent effect. Overall, really fun, and I'm digging these glitters. Now for opacity, I'm going to suggest 2 coats on it, and it plumps up really nice, self-levels very well, and it dries down semi-flat. So I think any top coat will be just fine with it. I didn't have any problems in terms of it being overly thirsty, but I would still suggest something glossy just to help those iridescent glitters really pop. And lastly, we have Watcha Coffee Express. This is a dark brown magnetic with caramel magnetization inspired by espresso coffee. Price is $13 and there is a cap of 500 bottles. So the formula on this is very rich, really flirting with being a one coater, but I personally like to wear, especially magnetics, at 2 coats, even if they're beautifully opaque like this one, so that I get more of that pigment. So when I wear magnetic polishes, I like them to be more coat heavy so that the more pigment you have on your nails, the stronger that magnetic effect's going to be. Going in with that ring magnet on this, I think gave it a really lovely design. The backdrop, if you use a magnet, is going to take on this really nice, very vampy dark brown, and the magnetic pigment has this gorgeous bronzy effect to it. Now remember, on magnetic polishes, you're going to want to use a glossy top coat and make sure you magnetize after you put your top coat on. Now, the site will probably go up for wish listing this Sunday. Don't quote me on that. It should be around that time. There usually is no designated time for when it happens, but just keep an eye on the Facebook group, which as usual, I will link below for you guys. The shop opens for shopping May 7th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time through May 10th at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. So I will link Polish Pickup's site below in the description box as well. But again, the site is going to be down, especially if I can get this video up before wish listing happens. But I will have the video broken down in timestamps in the description box too. So if you need it, it's there, especially when wish listing goes live. I thought this month was really, really cool. Guilty pleasures. I was a little worried how that theme was going to come out, but seeing how just different and so much variety that I'm seeing here, especially with the inspirations, lots of foodie sort of stuff, which I'm always excited about for scents, but in finishes in general too. So another month where the makers absolutely brought their A games. So again, I'm going to break all this down below. Don't forget to leave a comment down below as well, as I am having that giveaway. So I know it was like at this point an hour ago, literally, that I mentioned it. So I will be picking 10 random people through a comment picker, and I will have a pinned post up, and the giveaway will end Wednesday, May 5th at 10 p.m. Central Time. If I respond to your comment or reply to you, that's another good way. So if you have your notifications on, and also check out the pinned comment that I'm going to put below during that time, just in case your notifications don't let you know that I've replied to you. So don't forget to check previous videos, as I do have a couple winners and I have your codes. I'm hanging on to them, and that way I can get them to you. Even if you weren't picked this month, you might have been picked a previous month. You never know. So as always, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching.